Konnichiwa. So this one's going to be a little bit of a more serious one this week. I've been talking to a friend of mine recently who suffers from anxiety, a bit like I do, really. Um, it's kind of good to know that we're not alone, but I stumbled across this really great graphic online, and I think it kind of sums up exactly what we feel about anxiety. So here it is. So, like the top graph says, I think a lot of people think that anxiety is just that you worry about stuff all the time. It's actually a lot more complex than that. Before I really get going, it's really difficult to get non sufferers to understand what it's like because everybody feels a little bit anxious and they worry about things. So, it's really difficult to express what an anxiety disorder is really all about and what that feels like to someone who suffers from it. Um, it's hard enough to explain to someone else who suffers from the same thing. So, can you imagine what it's like trying to explain to a non sufferer? It's nigh on impossible, but that's the aim of this video. I'm going to give it a shot. There are physical issues that crop up with anxiety. Things like your muscles tense up, but like so tense that you actually feel like you're in pain, like your shoulders and your back and things like that. You get chest pain along with like an increased heart rate to the point where you actually feel like you're having a heart attack, like you're actually going to die. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but it's absolutely true. I've also found that personally, if I'm really, really in the midst of a terrible time with it, I find it almost impossible to eat. So I lose energy, and that kind of makes me feel worse in a way. It's kind of a vicious circle, you can't quite get out of it. Also, a lot of people say that they can't sleep with an anxiety disorder. I can. Sometimes I can't sleep at all, and sometimes I use it as a coping mechanism and I go to sleep so that I don't have to think about things. And also because I'm so exhausted because I'm not eating properly. Um, this only serves to mess up my sleeping pattern though, and that really doesn't help, obviously. Another big problem is you second guess yourself quite a lot. This is quite a common thing to do. You fear that you're going to upset someone, and rational thought would be to accept that you can't please everyone all of the time, but it doesn't work like that. You know, a rational person will say, yeah, you can't please everybody, but the feeling that you might upset one person, that's too much to bear, really. And this goes along with overthinking things and your mind and your body not cooperating and thinking rationally. Anxiety can also make one feel like one is a burden, that there's a constant fear that family, friends, loved ones, that sort of thing will give up on you because they can't deal with you anymore. Like, you fear people won't believe that you have an anxiety disorder. I'm confident in talking to certain people. I mean, I can make these vlogs, for example. I can go to gigs and I can talk to people, and that's because I know I have a common, a common interest. Like at a gig, people I'm talking to wouldn't be there if they weren't interested in the music and the band, right? In other situations, it's quite a terrifying thing to do. Like, I can stand up in front of a room of people and I can give a talk. That's absolutely fine. You know, I have a room of 100 people and I'm absolutely fine giving a presentation. I can talk, I could sing, I can act. I've done all these things in the past. No problem whatsoever at all. A bigger fear for me is one-on-one situations. I know, even if I know the person really, really well, it can be a struggle at times. But I mean, knowing someone really, really well does help. And like stupid things, like at work, I know that I need to answer the phone as part of my job. The moment the phone rings at home, like, I don't want to do this. I don't know who's on the other end of the line. I don't want to talk. The thing with anxiety is it's not rational, it's not logical. And we know that. We don't know that. But that's why it's so difficult to explain to people who don't experience the intensity of it. Basically, what I'm saying is don't alienate us or ignore us. There will be times when we maybe pull out of that party or whatever because we're just feeling it too badly that day. Don't think we're being standoffish or anything. We're not. Actually, we're just scared and we don't want to lose you. So just give us a hug every so often and say that, we mean something to you. And that kind of helps, actually. So that's kind of a little bit of my experience of anxiety. And I know a lot of people who suffer it have different ways of dealing with it, and I know they have different experiences, and everybody's different and everybody experiences things in a different way, but that's just my view and from talking to my friend. So that's it. Sorry it was a bit of a downer this week, but sometimes you need to discuss the heavy stuff. Sayonara.